Oh, hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Between a Pot and a Hard Place. I'm Stephen Colton.
And I'm Chris Kirkpatrick.
And yeah, we had a little technical difficulties, so we got delayed a few minutes, but it's cool. We're here now.
We worked it out.
Did you see the little intro and hear it at all?
You know what? All I saw was the little picture, but it was so I couldn't hear it.
That's strange because I'm trying to figure out. It comes across in the broadcast, I know, but I'm just hoping that in the future, because I did these tests, but I didn't really have a way to test that out. Where like if there's music or something playing, if the other people in the chat or whatever in the call could hear it, because in the next couple of weeks, when we have like clips or songs or something playing, I don't know how that's going to work live with so that's going to be kind of awkward. I could hear it on my end. Now I don't know. We'll see what happens with the videos coming up, and hopefully that those work out. But yeah, so here we are.
All right. Well, I think hey, we're gonna end up playing around with it a little bit and see what works, and
yeah,
I'm sure we'll figure things out.
No, I'm sure we will.
Yeah. So first things first, I want to say I'm glad that you're doing better. I know that you were dealing with COVID, and so I'm glad that you're doing okay. So
yeah,
how has that affected you this week?
As my roommate that walked by, I was like, make sure, because we've been like putting on masks when we're anywhere near each other, just because it's funny because I tested positive on Thursday, and he just got his result back. He's negative.
Yeah.
And we live in the same place. We've been here together for like a week, and it's strange how like that's. So we're trying to be extra careful, around each other.
It was the same thing here at my house, that my youngest daughter had contracted COVID and tested positive, but nobody else in my family was.
Yeah, that's strange.
Weird. Yeah, you'd think that, with all five of us in the same house, that at some point we'd pass it around.
And here especially, because we only have the one bathroom.
Right.
And it's a small bathroom. So I've been trying to do my best to I've got a bottle of like spray sanitizer, and, I wear gloves when I'm like using the front door or something like that. And so trying to keep it as good as possible. And it's working out so far, apparently, because, it would have been a little bit easier had we both been positive, because then we could just be like, yeah, just like licked everything and didn't have to worry. but I mean, it's good that he's not, though, because, for me, though, in my experience with it, my taste and smell never really left, but I do say like it's been kind of like, I don't know if it's possible, but it's been in and out, it seems like, because I'm eating these mints and they're usually like really minty, like strong. When I first put them in my mouth just now, I'm just like, I don't taste anything, but now by the end of them, I can taste it. So it's weird. As far as other symptoms, I really didn't have anything going on. Like, I know I had some fatigue. I was real tired on a Monday night. And Tuesday, I kind of had chills. And Wednesday, I kind of ached and had a little chills. And by Thursday, I was feeling better. And then yesterday and Friday, I kind of had some congestion going on. And today, I'm fine. Like, and it's never been that severe. Never had a fever.
Yeah.
None of the major stuff. None of the for sure you have COVID symptoms really happened for me.
Right.
A couple of small ones, but I mean, none of the major things. Never had, and I'm a smoker, and I've said this before on here, and I never had any issues, which I was really surprised about. I'm working towards quitting, but I thought for sure if I ever got COVID, it'd be worse, because they say for smokers that's like a higher risk thing, and I'm lucky enough to not have any sort of breathing issues at all.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you haven't. That yours has not been severe. I will say though that usually the fatigue and the loss of taste, those are often things that carry on, well after the other symptoms are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty normal. But otherwise, I'm really glad that you're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't believe them at first when they told me I tested positive, because I went through a CVS testing site at one of their stores and I did a rapid result test. I was lucky enough to find one close by, because around here they have them, but they're so booked that you can't get into one.
Right.
And sometimes the regular result tests could take, they say 3 days, but the first one I took like 6 or 7 days. And so I was out of work that time. Fortunately, this time though, with my job, they have emergency COVID leave, which got approved. So I'm good for, I think, up to 2 weeks, they said.
Okay, that's great.
And so that's awesome. And I think I go back to work either the 31st or which would be next week. And then either that day or the 1st. I don't really know for sure. I have to check back. I'm trying to push to the 1st because even though we've already scheduled and rescheduled our shows for those next couple of weeks to 11:30 and then 8:30 for Central Time, kind of want to stick to those times because like we've already changed it once. I don't want to go back, even if I'm home that day. I don't want to change it back again. But I would like to be home for that and to get ready that day and stuff and not have to worry about work and rushing back. But if I have to work that day, I have to work that day. But I'm waiting on a call from like the health department, I guess, to give me the clearance or the release from quarantine. I feel like ET hiding from the government or something. I don't know. They got to get in a bicycle and just ride it to the moon, I guess.
Right. Quarantine.
Ouch.
Right.
Oh, man.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
And I think I didn't really realize this until after I named it. I thought I had a sneeze coming because I have been sneezing occasionally. Excuse me. Oh, I have a few sneezes here and there, but that's really, I mean, still nothing major. But yeah, the title of the episode, I didn't realize until after I made it. I'm calling it COVID and a Bat Woman.
Okay.
Because, you know, we're going to be talking about Batwoman a little bit.
Right.
And in the whole COVID discussion. So I was like, wait, COVID and bats. Wow. Okay. Didn't really think about that one beforehand, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, Batwoman. So I had, when we were talking about it earlier, I was like, what are we going to talk about? You mentioned Batwoman, which of course I know this week's episode's on right now, I guess. And I'm probably going to watch that tomorrow. I did see last week's episode. I have not finished Titans yet. I was watching it so much, and then I just kind of like pulled back a little bit. I don't know why. I just kind of like slowed down.
Are you saving it? You're saving you don't want to blast all the way through it like I did.
Think so.
And then,
yeah.
You know, and sometimes I feel like Netflix has ruined, or a lot of these streaming services have ruined it in releasing everything at once because once you binged it, then it's over.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, I want to watch it all, but I don't, like you said, I don't want to like push through it. And plus, you know, I've got all this time to fill out now. I think I have another 5 or 6 days left before I can go back to work or whatever. And the last 2-3 days, all I've been doing really is sitting and watching Impractical Jokers and making Bernie Sanders memes.
Okay.
Because
I mean, isn't everybody?
Yeah, I've made like some of them are just lazy on my part, and some of them are pretty funny. I think like I have him in Pee-wee's Playhouse, I have him in Blue's Clues, Dora the Explorer. There's one for the Brady Bunch. Like there's so many that I've done. I have a photo album on my Facebook page with all of these. There's like 10 or so or more. I lost count. I'm just like, new picture, Bernie Sanders.
So are you surprised that of everything that came out of the inauguration from this week that Bernie Sanders, of all people, has become a meme?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of funny because honestly, all I'm seeing on Facebook right now, which, you know, there's some other things sprinkled in, but for the majority, all I'm seeing is Bernie Sanders memes.
Right.
And which is funny because it's like you would think you would hear more about like, he's not my president. He's my president, blah, 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 all this arguing and stuff. But yet all you really see is like Bernie Sanders. And I think that's awesome. And he's now, I heard, selling T-shirts of himself. That picture on a shirt and then donating the money to a charity. So I think that's pretty cool. He's got a good sense of humor.
To me, that just says something about the guy. Now, I feel kind of bad because I like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
I think that he has been one of the more consistent politicians in what he espouses and believes in, and I'm glad that he has not taken this personally like an attack on him.
Right.
He is at least he's using the fame that this has generated in order for him to do some good. So I think that is positive. But it's amazing. Doesn't matter whether you're a fan of Bernie or whether you are not a fan of his policies. It seems like everybody's sharing memes about him. I think even I had posted one about Bernie Sanders doing Gangnam Style.
Oh yeah, I saw that
So,
one. And
yeah,
there's one with Bernie Sanders Ultimate Fighting and breaking somebody's arm. And
right.
then I actually, before coming on here tonight, I just made one of Bernie Sanders on a computer, making a meme of Bernie Sanders on a computer.
Okay.
So it's just a picture of him hunched over a computer from
Right.
like on the side, and then I took that image and then shrunk it down and pasted it on the computer screen, and then on that screen I put the Bernie in the chair.
That is awesome.
So
That is
I
awesome.
mean, and before I go any further, I want to go ahead and throw this out there. Follow Mark Guggenheim on Twitter at mguggenheim. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by Mark Guggenheim. Yeah. I did a thumbs up, but it was the wrong thumb because it was off camera.
I didn't see it. There we go.
There we go. But yeah, so I have a couple of clips for Batwoman, and I hope I'm going to play one for a couple seconds and stop it to see if like you can hear it, I guess, to make sure that that's coming across.
Sure.
Because I know when I did a test earlier, I put a few clips, played it back, and it comes back awesome. And so it's a really cool little effect. So we'll see. This one is like the trailer with the new actress playing Batwoman talking about the role of Batwoman.
Okay.
Okay, did you hear any of that or see it?
I saw it briefly. I didn't hear anything.
That's strange. I'm trying to figure out why the sound's not working.
I get a notice that when that your mic is muted when the video plays.
Yeah.
That's what I see. But I don't hear anything.
That's strange because I usually would mute the mic so that you can't talk over the clip or whatever, and I don't understand why it's not playing live. That's gonna be unfortunate. Well, it would still work on the playback. But playing a trailer or a clip and you can't hear it, that's gonna be kind of awkward to there's gotta be a setting or something in here.
Right.
Trying to figure it out. I probably should have tried to look into this a little bit more, but I don't know how I would have. It's kind of strange. I don't know. Everything seems to be working. There's got to be a way, like a setting or something here. Audio. Yeah, everything looks good. I'm going to try that again.
New Batwoman. She's badass. Boom. Fun and goofy and very authentic, very original.
I have no idea what this button does. You want to figure it out together?
This is literally like all of my childhood dreams come true.
I stumbled on something pretty sick.
Was it housing? What about employment? Tell me you paid your court fines.
Brian Wilder is a child of the foster system.
Her mom died in childbirth.
I can't find a job.
Father died before she was born.
Because I don't have a home. Because no landlord wants to rent to an ex-con on post-release.
Brian is right there in the middle. Not noticed by the system, not supported and protected by the system.
No one cares that the dope wasn't mine, or that the crows were dirty, or that I'm actually a decent human. That is not having power. That is the very definition of powerless.
When you think of Batman and Batwoman and Gotham and like anyone that ends up being able to don the cape and the cowl, they've been people of prestige. And she's not that. She's the girl next door. She's a regular person.
All right. So did any of that come through at all? Hopefully.
It did. Yeah, absolutely.
The sound did?
It did.
Okay, I cut it a little short. I think I figured it out. I had to unmute my mic. And then as soon as I did that, I was going to stop it, but I thought I would let it play out. I did cut it off a little bit because that's kind of a longer one. I think it might be like 2 minutes or so, or 3 minutes.
Okay.
And it was a little bit, you get a taste of it. Like you get a little preview of like the character, what she looks like. And her
I do feel like if somebody was watching this podcast, for example, and they didn't know a whole lot about Batwoman or who this new actress is that's come to play Batwoman on the show, I think it would at least give them a good introduction. So, what was your? I mean, you watched episode 1 of season 2. I will first say that I had been a little bit anxious about this episode. With Ruby Rose's departure from the show, suddenly at the end of season 1,
Mhm.
I really thought this show was over.
Yeah, I mean, I
Lots of
thought it might be.
potential, but I really worried that this show was over. Like, what are you going to do when the person who's playing the main character of the entire franchise is
Leave.
gone?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried about that too, and I actually do have another clip. I mean, we could talk a little bit more than play that one, but it's actually Ruby Rose talking about how she left the show, and I did
Okay.
cut it. I cut it down because it was actually an appearance she made on Jimmy Fallon pretty recently, right before the new season started.
Okay.
And I trimmed it down to just her thoughts mostly on that. So we'll go ahead and just play that, and hopefully the sound works again on this one because that was pretty cool. That I think I figured that out.
Okay. Let's see it.
We were in such a weird position because we had to shut down before we could finish the season because of COVID. And then we went into lockdown. And there was a lot of, like I said earlier, with reflection and things like in quarantine and thinking. And I ended up talking to Warner Brothers and Greg and where the show was going. And we really just kind of had a really honest, good chat where we sort of mutually agreed that Kate Kane and her story and everything, we had done what we set out to do. We achieved. I'm so proud of what we did. I had so much fun. I mean, I cried on your show because of how excited I was
You were
about
great.
this. And I had a blast. And I do really feel like it was right for the show to pass the mantle on to someone else now. There's going to be many iterations of Batman, and I'm really proud of it, and I can't wait to watch season 2.
So yeah, that was interesting.
Do you buy that? It feels like Ruby Rose is trying to really sell this idea that that everything was amicable as far as her leaving, and this was a good time for her to leave, for Kate Kane's character to leave, and for them to pass the mantle. Does that seem like a valid excuse?
I think partially I might have bought that had the season been finished and done, and then they talked about it. But here's the thing: if she was like, okay, it's just time for the character to leave, then when you cut short, I know it was no one's fault that they had to cut the schedule short because of COVID and everything, but once they were able to film again, if that were a true story, you would think that they would get her back to film a few closing scenes to transition to the next season. But since they did not do that, I really don't buy the story. The interesting part I thought was when she said there's going to be many iterations of Batwoman. Now, I don't know if they're planning on like every couple of years have a different Batwoman, or because, kind of in the Batman universe, at least they tend to like change places a lot. Not a lot, but I mean, sometimes there's been 4 or 5 Robins. There's been 2 or 3 Batmen. There's been, different Batwomans, Batgirls. So, I mean, that would be cool to see. Maybe not one every season. Like, oh, season 3, who's it going to be? Oh, it's Wendy from Wendy's this year. Or, like, I don't think that would be a good idea for every single year. But maybe, because you would lose any kind of like momentum, I think, if you changed out the main star every single year. But yeah, I don't fully buy her story. I think that's just the corporate story they both agreed to tell. There's probably some truth to it. I'm sure they did talk and go, look, I don't want to be on this show anymore. I want to do this movie. I want to do that movie. I want to do this. And they're like, yeah, well, you kind of have an attitude anyway. We don't really like you all that much. So, okay, let's just amicably say we're done. There was a little bit more to it, I think, other than just like the story is over, the end. It wasn't just that, I don't think.
I feel like they had really built up Batwoman to a certain place, right? I mean, they had made her a pivotal character in the crossover in Crisis. I mean, she was the paragon of courage. Not a character that you would think that would be, very, very soon to disappear.
Yeah.
Right. And yet that's what we see.
I mean, Barry Allen made her a chair.
Right.
I mean, come on. That was probably like $50 at Walmart.
Right.
That chair.
That really probably set him back a lot.
Yeah.
But no, I've got to say that I was and am disappointed because I believe that Kate Kane's character had a lot more stories to tell. We were just getting the character off the ground and learning about her and what was motivating her and what was keeping her going. And I do feel it's a shame that the actress ended up kind of affecting the plot line and the direction of the show.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there definitely was a lot of work going into that character, into that show, and to say that
Right.
it was just over is nowhere near true, because they built that whole thing. They teased the whole thing with Supergirl and Batwoman, the world's finest. Like, they teased that so hard,
Right.
and for them to go, "Oh, it's over," like, no, I don't buy it at all. Now, like, going into the episode a little bit more, what did you think about the Bruce Wayne stuff? Because I know we knew at the end of last season that it wasn't really Bruce Wayne, but
Right.
I was a little disappointed that they only went for an episode before they like peaked in that storyline and then dropped it off completely. Like, I was really
No, I
hoping it
agree.
would go. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
hoping it would go at least 3 episodes.
I agree. I thought that considering the importance of we finally get to see a Bruce Wayne, even though he's a fake, that we at least know what Bruce Wayne potentially looks like.
Mhm.
I thought that was an important thing, and the incorporation of Warren Christie into that character, I thought was good. I too would have thought that it would have made a lot more sense for them to draw that out a little bit more, because I felt like anybody who's going to take on or play that part really has the potential to mess with things a lot, and just to be essentially being in this episode 1, and then to have the new Batwoman essentially beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
That's putting it lightly, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, she essentially punches him so hard that his face peels off.
Yeah, I mean, that face is on there pretty good. I think they used double-sided tape or something.
Right, some type of glue or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I would have liked to have seen more of him, but
Yeah.
apparently they're going to be going into a different direction. I think that they essentially use him as a kind of like a preliminary villain, right?
Mhm.
Sort of like a warm-up act for Alice, right?
Yeah.
So
Because we see her a little bit. I was really hoping, and they were teasing it a little bit. He was trying to find the bat suit, and he got into the
Right.
Batcave, got the Batmobile, which was like more just a car than a Batmobile, but still, it was kind of cool to see that again.
Right.
And kind of all that. But I was really hoping he'd get a suit and at least put it on and have the red hair and everything. No, but like actually have a suit on and then be Batman for 2 seconds before he's
I think there were some silly moments in that he's going to try to steal the female version of the Batsuit from her. I mean, unless he is like a master tailor, where he can go and modify it for himself, wearing a woman's outfit.
I mean, she did it in like 5 minutes originally. Kate Kane did it. I mean, so you would think he could do it back.
Yeah.
But
I think we certainly have seen that in other shows where characters find a suit and magically it fits, even though they are nowhere the proportions of the other person.
Yeah.
But no, I thought they were just. I felt like that part, that plot line, progressed faster than I would have liked it, and I do feel like, they really jumped into things. There wasn't like this slow introduction to Batwoman. It was very quick. And I like this new character that they've introduced to us. It's played by Javicia Leslie here, of Ryder. But the idea that one moment she's sleeping in her van, and the next minute she sees Kate Kane's plane crash.
Yeah.
And we see her, I think, in a very heroic effort, rush toward the scene of the crime. She tries to revive one of the passengers on the plane, and then she does something that I find to be kind of strange. That she ends up going through the wreckage and finding the suit,
fully
and
intact.
she runs off with it.
Yeah, and it's fully intact. Everything else is burnt. Everybody's dead, but the suit is not even
Right.
scratched. But then again,
Yeah.
I guess the suit is built that way. I didn't cross my mind. And I'm thinking too that the fake Bruce Wayne, maybe he wasn't trying to wear the suit. Maybe he was just trying to destroy it because he had the kryptonite, and he was trying to find it. And he was like, that's what I took out of that. Like at first, I thought, why would you wear it? Like you can't fit. But then I thought maybe he was just trying to destroy it because no bat suit, no bat woman. I mean, but you don't know. But I mean, it makes me wonder though, where is Kate Kane? Like, and are they ever going to pay that off because she's gone?
Right.
So can you even pay it off with that storyline? Because if there's no one to be there, then how are you going to close that out? Or is it going to be one of the things you never know?
Yeah, right now it appears that either she was not on the plane to begin with, or that she somehow knew the plane was going to crash and she jumped out of the plane and landed somewhere else.
And
or
she's
whether
naked somewhere.
Yeah, right. Or whether she survived the crash and she left the wreckage before Ryder shows up. I mean, those are all options. The question though is, we know what kind of person she is. You would think that she would have contacted someone.
Yeah.
Right? She would have contacted someone as far as, hey, my plane crashed. I'm okay. Come and get me. Something like that.
Call an Uber, call AAA.
Right.
Something.
I mean, unless her ultimate goal was to no longer be Batwoman, right?
Yeah, I mean, she could have orchestrated the whole thing. Because, what was that with that note that someone left Alice? Like, do you see that? Like, now we're even, or now you owe me, or whatever. I forget what it said exactly, but makes you wonder who sent that. I mean, it was all red letters. I thought Joker or Riddler or like one of those like crazy characters that we haven't seen yet on that show. But could it have been? I mean, there's no telling. Like, I'm interested to see what happens on tonight's episode,
right?
And where they go forward. If they kind of like keep hitting that each episode, because you've like Kate's dad finds out she's Batwoman. Basically, he doesn't really believe it at first, but he's like, "Oh no, there's no way." But he slowly starts to realize, like, "Oh, this is true." So who knows? I mean, is he going to keep looking for her? Is he going to give up and go, "Well, she must be dead"? La la la. Or I mean, as far as the show goes, they know they can't find her anytime soon because there's no one to play her. So,
right.
I mean, it's going to be kind of crazy to see how they stretch that out over the next year or 6 or however many they keep going. And you'd hope eventually, if they do find her, maybe Ruby Rose could come back for like one episode to say, "Oh, you found me. I retire."
Right. I really hope that for the sake of the plot line and the character and what they've done, that they could ultimately resolve any issues between the actress and the character, so that we could have some answers. To me, that would be it. But right now, I'm sure they're going to try to make this transition as quickly as they could. So, yeah. So I think that's the big thing. I will say that I really liked the part of the episode that came at the end. Right. You have Doug Ray Scott, who is Kate Kane's dad. He's the guy in charge of the Crows, and he's found out that Kate has been, Batwoman all along. And there he is on the roof, flashing the bat signal. I felt like in a desperate attempt to see if he could signal her, get her attention. Part of me goes, it's too little, too late, buddy. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, your daughter knows how you feel about her, and yet, part of my heart broke for him too, that he realized that how much he loved his daughter and how much he did not understand who she was and what she was going through. Anyway, I thought that was a touching moment.
Yeah. I have a feeling that over the course of this year that him and Alice are going to reconnect and become close. I don't know what it is, but I feel it because, she tells him in the first episode, or not, maybe she wasn't telling him. She was telling, who was she telling? She was telling somebody how she wanted Kate to die, but she didn't want to kill her. She wanted their father to kill her. Because she kind of like tells like, oh, remember when you were shooting at that woman? Maybe she tells him that she wanted him because didn't she tell their dad that he killed her? Like, you shot your daughter. She was Batwoman. You killed her. Congratulations. Just trying to mess with his head.
Right.
And I think that like now, because, in the first season you had, and these shows tend to have themes and repeat patterns sometimes. And so you have first season, they're really close, but then Alice is over here like, oh, nobody loves me. And now that Kate's missing, there's a daughter still there and a father looking for the other daughter. So I'm thinking that they both want to find her because they both want her back for different reasons. Alice wants her back so she could watch her die. Right. And he wants her back because it's his daughter. So I think they'll end up working together at some point to find her or to try to find her. And maybe kind of bond along the way. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but
I had really thought that there was a potential in the first season, early on, for Alice to have this, this redemptive arc, where we realize that, she's not as bad as we thought she was. That she could come back. That they could essentially become the loving twin sisters that they were, and yet I really don't. I think I'm a skeptic at this point, because she has gone as far as to take, dead cadaver skin and stitch together faces. I mean, that's very Silence of the Lambs, isn't it?
Yeah.
And while I feel bad for her being, the product of being abducted and imprisoned and mentally abused and physically abused, she's no longer imprisoned anymore, right?
Yeah.
She has become just as much a monster as anybody that had ever taken part in her imprisonment. And how many people has she killed along the way?
Gosh, probably 612.
Right. I mean, I've lost count at this point.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I will let you tell me I told you so if they have this lovey-dovey redemption arc set up for her character. But right now, man, I feel like she's too far gone. That said, yeah. That said, I said the same thing about Black Siren in Arrow, that I thought she was too far gone too. And what did they do? They turned her into a superhero.
And she almost had her own spinoff. Well, not her own, but she almost starred in Black Arrow, Green Arrow and the Canaries.
Right.
She was going to be one of the main guys or women on that show.
So I do feel like in that regard, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be some lovey, like, I'm super close with you now, let's go to Thanksgiving dinner. But I think there's going to be some bonding at some point.
Right. That would be a very awkward Thanksgiving, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, you killed so many people and tried to kill us. Remember that? Pass the gravy.
Right.
I mean, that would be very awkward. And what do you get a person like that for Christmas? A new machete? Like, I don't.
I mean, clearly she throws away a lot of knives. I'm sure that she could use an extra set. But yeah, I mean, it's not the first time that we've seen somebody in this position, right? Where they are, a chief of police who has a child who is a vigilante, right?
Right.
That's not an uncommon or weird place for things to be, but I still feel like a lot of things would have to change in the story in order for me to believe that Alice would be even potentially good.
Yeah, even if she does kind of get redeemed and she becomes good, even if all the impossible happens, there's still a matter of the fact that she killed like 30 million people.
Right.
So I mean, I feel like she'll be in like Arkham Asylum or something forever. And if that ever did happen and she was a good guy, then she would be in prison and I could see them going to visit her like, how do you think we should stop this villain? And then, oh, I remember when I was working with him, he likes Dunkin' Donuts, so go there and find him or whatever, that could be an element to it. But again, like I think I agree with you more, I think, than I do with myself as far as like, I think she's way too far gone to be like that good. But I don't know. Something tells me that they're going to try to do something they don't want us to expect, and that would probably be the last thing anyone would expect.
Right. Yeah.
Well, again,
I mean, I think that. Right. I think there's potential that once she has been captured and put away in prison for the rest of her life, that her father shows up and works on rebuilding or any kind of relationship possible because she's still alive, and he's glad that at least at the end of the day, she's not dead. I think that potential is there, but we've got a long road to go before we get to that point.
I mean, depending on how
that
the
said,
show goes.
I love Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I really love Alice. I really feel like Rachel Starstein really does a great job in portraying this crazy woman. I mean, in the last episode, she's so crazy that not only has she killed Mouse, somebody who was like a brother to her, but then she lays down with him and kind of snuggles up to his dead body and talks to him like he's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she does have a couple screws missing, right?
Yeah, quite a few.
Quite a few, yeah.
I mean, I forgot about that part, actually. Like, I realize now, like, oh, crap, she did kill him at the end of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, now who is she going to, like, team with, or who's going to be her, like, go-to? Leaves it kind of open.
Well, I mean, she has no shortage of henchmen that follow her. But
True.
You're right. I mean, certainly Mouse was her confidant. He was sort of like his, or like her, cheerleader support system.
Mm-hmm.
In every way, Mouse had really helped her to survive when she had been kidnapped, and so I guess it seemed strange that she killed him, and yet at the same time, because he was involved, he was partly to blame, right along with Mouse's father, for what happened. I kind of get it, but
and then did we remember? Like, I know it's been advertised like crazy, but I can't, like, kind of going off gear from Batwoman a little bit, but like the Superman and Lois show. I know that's coming up real soon. I've been seeing it pumped up a lot advertising wise and trailers and stuff, but I'm not sure when that is supposed to be.
I don't know. That said, I am excited about it. If for no other reason than the fact that they have, they've made Superman and Lois, such integral, characters in the Arrowverse. It was time for them to get their own show.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely time for it. I mean, because you've seen, Superman on Supergirl so long, and he was kind of like the side character, and we've had that discussion before, but it was finally time. I didn't like him at first as Superman. I thought he was too nerdy looking. He was too like weak looking and too small, especially in Crisis when he was next to Tom Welling and when he was next to Brandon Routh. He looks like a kid.
Right.
Dude, it's tiny. It's insane.
Yeah. No, I think that a lot of people have made that comparison, that he seemed to be somewhat reduced, right? Not quite the towering figure that you expect Superman to be. And I think I think I'd always looked down a bit on Brandon Routh's portrayal of Superman, because I compare Superman, anybody who plays the role, I compare them automatically to Christopher Reeves.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, if you're not as good as Christopher Reeves, you shouldn't put on the suit. But That said, I look back at Brandon Routh's portrayal of Superman, and I go, all right, he actually did a really good job. But the direction that they're going with him, with the character, is with Tyler Hoechlin.
Mhm.
And I think that what they've done, essentially, Superman is sort of like the Death Star of superheroes.
Yeah.
Right? He kind of sucks up all the oxygen in the room. If you got Superman there, you really don't need anybody else.
True.
So part of the reason of Superman kind of taking a step back in this whole thing for all this time has been to make sure that Supergirl was able to really establish herself as a character, to make her identity, so that she didn't have to just, keep relying on Superman to bail her out. And I think that was, intentional.
Yeah.
It's the reason why for the first 2 seasons, we rarely saw Superman, and when they did interact, it was all through text messages. So,
yeah, like CK or whatever, and you knew who it was. But looking up, we got a little ways to go before that show starts because I just found it. And so Superman and Lois debuts on February 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on CW. And the thing about that is, though, they're going to do this 90-minute epic first episode. The Flash actually got pushed to the next week because of that, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Because originally, I think Superman and Lois was 8 o'clock, and then Flash was 9 o'clock. So, I mean, yeah, okay, cool. But then I guess they decided they wanted to really push Superman and Lois, so they did a double episode. It's going to be like a 90-minute thing, and it's a 2-hour special. They have a 30-minute after it's a half-hour special, Superman and Lois: Legacy of Hope at 9:30 after the episode itself goes off. So I get their reasoning. They want to really push it hard. It's a new show. It's Superman. Like, you can't just throw it in there and be like, no, watch The Flash. But we've waited so long for Flash. I guess we can wait one extra week. I'm actually excited. Yeah, I'm excited for the new show. I'm a little disappointed that they did not film on the same farm from Smallville, which hopefully they address that in the story. Like, they comment on it, because we saw it in Elseworlds, same farm. We saw it in Crisis, same farm twice. So they've used that farm so far in the Arrowverse shows. But now it's going to be some random white farmhouse on some completely different piece of property, but it's supposed to be the Kent farm in Smallville. So I hope maybe they go like, wait a minute, this looks different. Doesn't it look different to you, Lois? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's the same house. Because I started thinking about it, like when Crisis rebuilt the universe, maybe now Earth Prime, Smallville, is completely changed. But the question is, do they remember what the old Smallville looks like? I don't know. It just seems too weird to not have that.
Right. They've been very careful throughout all of these shows to give us these little to preserve the continuity, right? And so it's a weird choice for them not to go back to the same location. I mean, unless that location is no longer available. But I don't know why, since they just filmed there for Crisis, why they wouldn't have access to it for this series.
My only guess with that is, now I don't know when filming actually started for this show or when it ended or if it's still ongoing, but I'm thinking it could very well be because if they started shooting after, then maybe it was like a COVID thing where it's like this, because the house, the farm, as far as I know, the family still lives in the house, in the the nice yellow house,
right?
And so of course they couldn't film in the house during COVID. If so that could have been part of it. Maybe it was just cheaper, or maybe they were like, "Look, we're too old for this. Like, we don't want you to come back and film in our house. Like, you could do it outside, but we just don't want it inside the house." That could have been the case because the last 2 times that they shown that house in either Supergirl or Flash or whichever episode it may have been, which my favorite scene there was when Barry as Oliver as Barry in Elseworlds. Like, I loved that because that's when Barry shoots Oliver with the arrows.
Right.
And that was just so good. But, it could have been that. I think maybe the family's just like, look, we don't want you to film in the house. You can film outside all day long, but and eventually you're going to have to go inside because you can't just be outside in the yard the entire show. But I just wish they could have gotten it because, watching a show set in Smallville at the same house, just seeing those buildings again, seeing that fence again, seeing the sunset over this field. I saw that so many times, and it was nice to see those things again. And at least in the Flash, some episode, they filmed that flashback scene from 1998 or whatever it was. It was the memory that Barry asked Savitar, do you remember the name of that town when we got stuck and had ice cream and everything? He's like, yeah, that was what I forget the name of the town, but they're filming that scene apparently for Flash season 7, and they're using a shot of the building that was the Talon in Smallville, that street. They filmed on that, and so I thought that was really cool. All that's in Vancouver, up in Canada, though. It's where they shoot, so you're bound to see some of the familiar locations, I guess, from time to time. But yeah, maybe I just need to let go of Smallville. But as Jonathan Kent said, Jonathan Kent always says, you always hold on to Smallville.
Right. Or it holds on to you. Yeah.
I mean, but at least they never had any confusing time loops that I got confused about.
Well, there's an upside. I think that, like everything, I have to say that trusting the writers and directors to do their thing they've never failed to surprise me in what they're able to put together. And so I feel like I'm just going to have to reserve judgment until the show comes and when it airs, see what they've put together for us.
Yeah.
Hopefully they win you over one way or another.
I mean, they kind of did tease as a little bit of the story element. Now, I'm sure this happens in the first episode. The trailer I saw, I should have got a trailer ready and played that here, but I didn't think about that. They show, I don't know if you've seen it, but they show they have 2 sons, and they're teenage sons. And from what it looks like, they didn't know that their dad was Superman.
Okay.
So I guess Lois and Clark kept that separate from them because he's like, wait, you're Superman? But we've seen Superman. And they don't believe him. And then it shows Clark as Clark lifting a car and flying in their front yard. And that's all in one of the trailers I just saw a couple of days ago, which it looks really great. There's 2 different personalities with their sons. One's probably going to be all athletic and yeah, I'm badass. And then the other one's going to be all shy and timid or something, which is a nice combination. I could have gotten that wrong, but I think that's what they said at some point. And it's them kind of learning their powers and then going, oh crap, oh, I can shoot lasers out of my eyes. And is it just me, or did Superman's heat vision turn red now instead of blue? I think I saw red beams at some point.
Okay.
I could be wrong, because it always threw me off that in Supergirl, their heat vision was blue. I don't know, because every other Superman, it was red. That was kind of random, but I just thought of that. But I'm excited for that show.
Yeah, I like the idea of essentially a superhero family. I think that is an interesting dynamic that has not been explored enough. And so, I mean, of course, we've seen it in Incredibles, and I think Black Lightning has done a great job in presenting a family of superheroes.
And you could count the Umbrella Academy as well, but I mean, they weren't an actual family, I guess. But I mean,
they were a family in every way that matters, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. But I think what's interesting is it's a dynamic that we haven't yet really seen attributed to Superman.
Yeah.
I've not seen Superman as father or dad. Usually he's out there fighting by himself. And so that's certainly a different kind of dynamic. And Lois Lane, essentially playing the role of mother. I'm sure that she'll probably be, still reporting and doing it at the same time. However, it's going to be interesting to see how they balance it. How do they end up still fulfilling their roles, and at the same time, balance that with the family.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's interesting how Superman is always able to find a way to be reinvented.
Right.
Because you had, the Christopher Reeves movies, like, oh my God, you'll believe a man can fly, except when you watch the one scene from the movie and you can see the wire when he flies to the moon. I always love that part. Like, I pause it, like, oh, there's the wire. But no, that movie was awesome. All of those movies, really, some better than others. But then you see a more modern show. You see, Superman, The Adventures of Lois and Clark, or the New Adventures of Terry Hatcher and Dean Cain. I loved that show, and it was a different way to see them. They lived in an apartment building, like Superman living in an apartment. Really, that's interesting. Let's watch that. And then you had Smallville, which Superman growing up. You've never seen, that side of him before, and learning himself. And now, like you said, you have them as parents, and then you have, again, teenage superheroes, but yet they're learning, and then you get to see Superman play father and Lois play mother, and like, what are they going to think of next? It's like Superman and Lois in the old folks' home, or right. Whatever.
I'm coming, Lois. I'm coming.
And he's like walking like a normal speed because even though he's so old, like his super speed doesn't work as much. So he's like running at like 30 miles an hour. But that would still be pretty fast, actually.
Right. But yeah, I could imagine that they'd have an episode called Superman Takes a Nap, or Superman Drinks and Sure.
Bingo of Justice.
Right.
It makes me wonder, too, about Lex Luthor. I don't know. I haven't really heard much, but wondering if John Cryer is going to be back, because I was so impressed with how he was as Lex, really, because I saw him, I heard the news when they first cast, and I was really hoping for Michael Rosenbaum. Like, I didn't think they were going to pick him for like a full series of Supergirl, which would have been awesome if they did, but that's the one I knew the most. Or even, I forget who played him in Lois and Clark on the TV show, but when I heard John Cryer, I couldn't help but think, like, why? Like, that guy is a small, quirky little comedic guy. Like, that's not Lex Luthor, but oh my gosh, was I wrong?
He's done a great job.
Yeah, he's up there, at least as good, in my opinion, as Michael Rosenbaum. Maybe better in some ways. The look, I think Rosenbaum still is, for me, like my favorite, but overall personality, I think John Cryer's Lex Luthor was far more evil. But I think had we seen, the Smallville Lex Luthor long enough, we would have seen that side of him even more. But I'm so impressed with his character.
I mean, I'm still a big Gene Hackman fan. I feel like, he certainly made Lex Luthor, the icon that he is. But yes, I really like the job that John Cryer has done with the character, especially considering, establishing himself, considering all the other people that have played that role. I think that's pretty impressive.
And I think John Cryer needs to come back as Lex Luthor, and they need to have Charlie Sheen play like a villain, so that the two of them could be together. I mean, and maybe the little kid from 2.5 Men could play the son of the villain. Yeah.
Right.
Have them all there. That would be funny. Maybe Charlie can get some justice instead of being squashed by a piano.
I know.
Such a weird ending to that show.
I feel like, if I'm sure that it wouldn't be the first time that they've heard of that idea.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's like, Charlie Sheen should come in and play this villain. Right. Or a hero.
If they couldn't afford Michael Rosenbaum, I don't think they're going to be able to afford Charlie Sheen.
Probably not. But
it would need to be a very, very quick cameo.
Yeah, and a big budget still.
Right.
I think honestly, Charlie Sheen would probably want more money than a Michael Rosenbaum or anybody else, because honestly, and not to put anybody specific down, I'm not trying to trash Michael Rosenbaum. I'm just saying, like, Charlie Sheen is Charlie Sheen. So he's going to be like,
Right.
give me $6 million an episode or something. He thinks he's the cast of Friends or something like that. Like, you see David Schwimmer come in as Lex Luthor, like, hey, hey, everybody. Like, that was more Jerry Seinfeld, I guess. But, God, that would be weird. I've heard that they're doing a Friends reunion. I know that's completely unrelated, but.
Well, we're all about random here, so
yeah.
Friends reunion, yes.
I've heard that, yeah.
So were you a big Friends fan?
I actually never liked the show when it was live.
Okay.
And when it was like popular. I think I was in middle school because I've gone back and looked at my old middle school yearbook, and it was like they had those little sections in the pages. It's like, what's your favorite show? And it was always like WWF Wrestling, South Park, and Friends were like the three things everybody talked about the most in those things. And I was like, okay, well, I liked most of that stuff. But then later on, after Friends was done, is when I really got into it. I just never watched it. I don't know why. I just didn't. I think it was one of those things that was so popular that I'm just like, no, it's not going to be good.
Right.
And usually those things are good, but you're just too stubborn to accept it because everybody else loves it. So you think you're going to hate it, because I usually love the things everybody hates.
Right. It has been a pretty common thing for a lot of shows to go and dust them off and to see where they are now, right? You think about what they did with Full House. They did Fuller House, which my kids and my wife absolutely have loved.
I like that show a lot.
Yeah, and I watched Full House a lot growing up, so it was neat to see the story continue. And they've done that with Saved by the Bell.
Yes,
right?
I've seen that. I watched that.
You watched it. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So this idea of reinventing classic shows is not uncommon. It's apparently it's a lot easier to revamp an old show than it is to create an all new one.
And it's coming at a good time too, because especially with streaming services, I'm surprised. I think CW kind of had their thing. They have the app and it's free and everything, but I think they had that CW Seed or whatever it was, where they had like the Swamp Thing and like all that other stuff. But I mean, with everybody doing streaming now, you have HBO Max, you have Hulu. I can't even name them all. It's like Peacock. Yeah. I was getting into Peacock because on Peacock it's NBC's streaming service. So like an old sitcom on NBC could be brought back so quick because they want subscribers. And it's like, oh, you're feeling nostalgic, are you? Well, we have this new show like Saved by the Bell, and that's where I found it. It's so cheesy, it's so dumb, but it's good in a way, And I've read now that the people behind The Office think that if there's ever going to be a reunion for The Office, it would be more likely to happen now because of the whole Peacock service. And now The Office is exclusively on Peacock. And, they have every episode, they have extended episodes, they have bonus content. They have a whole section on that service where it's like the cast picks. And then they have a category of like office parties where it's all the episodes of all the office parties in one category. And so they have it broken down like this. And it's getting so much attention. So especially with these streaming services, because it's so much easier to be able to pull a show in from up from the dead and be like, let's reanimate you, because there's no network to have to like sell advertising on. You have your own service, people pay you money to have it, so it's just like, oh, thanks for all this free money, here's a new show. It doesn't have to be good, which Saved by the Bell could have been a lot better. I don't know if you got to see it or anything, but
no, I haven't
been a lot better. I mean, they were the kids in Bayside High School now are all of them are like snobby rich kids basically. And another school has closed down, and they have to like join in with Bayside, and they have to like incorporate themselves and then get into the swing of things. And like it's funny because like some of the older cast members are there and some are not, but like Slater is a gym teacher. And I think Zach Morris is a governor of California. It's really weird, but I mean, it's kind of funny because the show kind of makes fun of itself. It kind of makes fun of the old show and how cheesy it was. But I mean, it's enjoyable just because.
Yeah,
it's familiar.
I think that yeah, it's familiar, it's nostalgic, and I think it's good that they're able to poke fun at themselves. You go back, it's funny how many shows that I used to watch when I was younger, and I thought they
Mhm.
were so cool, and then I go back and watch them, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh, that is so cheesy, but you don't realize it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff that I remember from, like, the '90s and stuff like that. Oh gosh, I don't even know where to start on those. But, like, a lot of Disney Channel, because when I was a kid kinda growing up, we had Disney Channel, and they had some, like, really good shows, but you watch some of it now, it's like, "What? Why did I watch this?" Yeah, and some
Right.
of it you're like, "Okay, why did I watch this?" But it's so good. Some of it is, and some
it's
of
a
it's not, but
it's a guilty pleasure.
yeah.
Talking about shows, I know that I had discussed before about seeing WandaVision.
Yeah.
So, are
Um,
you familiar with the premise for WandaVision or what's going on with that?
a little bit. I don't know a lot about it, but I know enough to really kind of know what it is. I just
Yeah, I
haven't had
mean,
a chance to see any of it.
yeah, I mean, part of it is that it's playing on Disney Plus. I don't know if you have access to Disney Plus
I could
or
get it if
not.
I wanted it. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not subscribed right now, but I have been.
it's a very interesting take on characters that we're already familiar with, right? We
Mhm.
already know the characters Wanda and Vision from
Yeah.
the Avengers movies, right?
Mhm.
They're very established characters, but what we find is that Wanda and Vision, especially in the first two episodes, they are essentially landed in like like the set of I Love Lucy,
Mhm.
right? And at first it seems like, oh, they're playing off of this I Love Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, um, kind of nostalgic TV show. In fact, when I was watching it, my wife and my mother-in-law came in, and they sat down and watched it with me because it had that classic vibe to it.
Yeah, felt like an old
Um,
show.
right. It seems like they're just kind of ripping off that style. And if that were all the show was doing, just retelling using these characters in this old
Mhm.
timey scenario, that wouldn't be all that impressive. When you realize the bigger picture that um, that Wanda has created this reality because this is taking place after the death of Vision. And so Wanda is
Okay.
essentially dealing with mental illness, and her
Mhm.
powers have allowed her to recreate a world where the love of her life is no longer dead. Um,
That's cool.
she creates this fiction so that she doesn't have to remember her old life again. Um, that's essentially the idea. The problem, though, is that she can't hold things together, right? And so
Mhm.
as we go further through the show, um, the the time period increases, right? Uh, the first episode is clearly 1950s I Love Lucy um, kind of style, and then the second episode is more I Dream of Jeannie. The third episode is more like the Brady Bunch.
Okay.
That it becomes very rooted in the 70s.
And
Um,
maybe like the fourth episode will be that '70s show.
it might be,
I
it might
doubt
be.
it. Yeah, this
I
could be.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they're going to do, but it begins in black and white, and
Mhm.
by slowly but surely it becomes colorized.
Okay.
And but we see Wanda going from struggling to levitate a plate across the room to um, in the third episode where she gives birth and literally um, things are exploding and spinning and um, I mean all hell is literally breaking loose. It's a really cool show, and if
That
you haven't
sounds
seen
cool.
it, I'm trying to keep things
Yeah.
from being too spoilery because there's a
Yeah.
lot more going on, but um, I really like it, and it's one of those shows where um, again, my family is kind of on board in watching it with me when I see it. So anyway,
That's awesome.
that's my shameless plug for WandaVision.
I need to check it out. I haven't had Disney Plus. I'm trying to find other stuff on Disney Plus to watch other than just that, because I did watch Wonder Woman this last few days ago, and I really liked Wonder Woman. I thought, some people, kind of putting it down, and I don't know. I thought it was all right. It could have been better. Could have been a lot worse too, but I thought it was okay. But I figured while I had HBO Max, I would give it a shot because I think it's gone now, or either now or like the next couple of days, it's going to be off HBO. But Disney Plus, I don't know if there's a lot on there. I'm not sure what they have on there right now, other than like Star Wars and Marvel. I don't know, and the classic Disney stuff. I don't know what all is on there right now that I would want to watch a lot of. But then again, it's only like what, $8? So
it's really cheap.
It is.
As far as the cost is concerned, it's really cheap. I had gotten a subscription for it for The Mandalorian.
Okay, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, I want to watch that one.
I had Mandalorian is absolutely worth it. Awesome first season, and season 2 is even better. Just a really tight, clear story. And while I'm a Star Wars fanatic, and I really enjoy Star Wars in any way, shape, or form that I can get it, they've done a great job of kind of creating a fresh story. So anyway, I encourage you to check out Mandalorian.
Yeah.
You really, I was thinking about the genre of what the Mandalorian is, and the Mandalorian is that rare genre of space western, right?
Okay.
It is a space western.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous, right?
A little bit.
But you'll see. You watch a couple of episodes of it, and you will see what I mean by it being a space western. But it is amazingly written. It's written by Jon Favreau, right? So you already are familiar with his work and what he's capable of doing. So I put my seal of approval on it.
I mean, am I gonna watch it? Little Peter Tingle is going, so that's gotta be one of my. I don't know if he actually wrote that line. I know he says the line in Spider-Man, but like, I mean, come on, that was Peter Tingle is just
right.
One of my favorite lines.
Don't say Peter Tingle.
Peter Tingle.
Right.
And he just gives it such a serious, like, that Peter Tingle. Okay, we won't talk about that. Okay, sorry. Pick a suit there. Like, I love it. I love that dude. He plays a good jerk too. I've seen him in. I know when I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago when Scott was on the show. We mentioned My Name Is Earl for 2 seconds. He was in an episode of My Name Is Earl.
Okay.
He played this fast food store manager, and he was like the real big jerk and stuff, and would make people, if they didn't wipe the stoves off, they would take a French fry and then like dip it into the dirt and make them eat it, like little things like that. And he would knock toilet paper over in the bathroom, like, "Oh, look, it touched the floor. Now it's damaged. Take it to my house." And he just put a really good jerk. Like, I thought he had the great attitude.
I think that Jon Favreau as an actor is understated and maybe a little bit underappreciated.
Yeah.
And yet, I had not realized that when they introduced the character of Happy, that he was the director and the writer. Yeah. So I feel like it certainly makes me appreciate him all the more. The fact that he's playing this character that is considered rather minor, and yet, the director has essentially written himself into the show. So,
but no, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, those projects like that he's directed and written, it's huge. They're not like tiny little things.
No,
they're big things.
He's got his hands in everything. I mean, much like Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah.
Where you think that he's in this niche, and really he's got just all these different angles and places that he can go. It's just impressive.
Oh yeah, I mean you look at him and you think, oh, I saw that movie and I saw that. Okay, cool. And then you find out that he wrote tons of comics. Just the comics alone. We have Batman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. I think he might have written some Flash. Just that alone. And then he's the showrunner for the new Masters of the Universe animated series.
Yeah,
that's coming to Netflix. So he's like the big time executive guy behind that. And you think Kevin Smith, an executive? No way, but he is. And I'm excited for that. Of course, I wasn't a huge fan of the original He-Man because I wasn't really old enough or even alive in some of it. But hearing who they have and hearing, they've gotten some of the original actors from the show, not playing the same characters, but like involved in some way. Like the original Skeletor is in there somewhere. Then Mark Hamill's playing Skeletor now. So that's...
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I really want to see that. Just for Mark Hamill as Skeletor. Like, come on. I forget who's playing the actual like Prince Adam He-Man character. I really don't know right off the top of my head, but it was somebody pretty big, I think. But yeah, I mean that was crazy when I found out he was involved with He-Man. I was like, really? Where'd you get? And it's just crazy because like I wish that would work today. Where
right?
Oh yeah, I watched all these movies and read all these comics and played these games, and now everybody wants me to talk about them professionally. Like that doesn't happen today. He got pretty lucky in his days, I guess, because he was just a convenience store clerk. It was like, I'm bored. I want to write a movie, and now he has like 35 jobs. And knows all these famous people. And
yeah, I mean, it sounds like from what people say about him that he is very hardworking in what he does. I mean, he's got a lot of hustle in him.
Oh yeah, I mean the way they've like kind of like pushed their. They had this little pop-up restaurant thing. He took a fictional restaurant from his movies, and now it is a touring thing across the country in the middle of a pandemic, and is doing it safely and successfully. It's insane.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's a fictional fast food place, and they're taking these places in bigger cities. I think the one currently is either happening now or about to happen is in I think Phoenix, Arizona. It started off in L.A. They just did the one in L.A. where he lives, and then they went to New Jersey, where he was from originally, and did one. And then they went to like maybe Atlanta or something like that. Like it got so popular that all these restaurants across the country are like, hey, come here and make our store into that, and then do it here, please. And that's what they do because these businesses mostly are shut down anyway. So they come in there and they don't allow you to come in and eat. You can come in, pick up your food by appointment. You have to like order it online and schedule it and all this stuff. And then they have like merchandise you can buy from movies and stuff. And it's a crazy business, but like it's working.
Yeah.
And so that's all this extra money that's coming off of this fake fast food restaurant. And the way he's doing his movies is crazy because last in 2019, his last movie, instead of just theatrical release, they did a touring kind of like setup where they would just take the movie from town to town, charge however much for tickets, and you get to see the movie and then a Q&A kind of show after. And then they made so much money. They broke some kind of like records or something like that. Like it, and he said he probably is going to be doing that for his other movies coming out in the future, which if the COVID never gets tied down, then we might not ever have full movie theaters again. But
right.
We have some around that are open now, but
I think that at some point things will return somewhat to normal.
Yeah.
I mean, just this last week, my dad got his first dose of the vaccine.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
So there are people that are getting it. As an educator, I'm thinking that I'm probably higher up on the list than other people are. To eventually get vaccinated too, but I haven't heard anything. But I'm hoping for it. I was thinking about how a year ago, my idea of of a fun date night during the week would be go out to a restaurant and then go to a movie afterwards. And man, those are just two things you just can't do, at least not here in Southern California. Eating a fancy dinner in my car, just isn't the same.
Well, it'd be kind of cool if you had. I don't know if you have drive-in theaters there, but I know there's some of them. I think still in existence some places. But
we have one probably about half an hour away from where I live, and we've gone to it. I think the problem for us is we went there in the summer, at the height of when it was hot.
Yeah,
and that was tough. You're sweating and watching a movie at the same time, even after it's dark. It was still hot.
And if you turn on your car for like air conditioning or anything like that, then you're sitting there with like the sounds from all that. And you're like trying to hear the movie. And
my only problem that I've ever had with being in a drive-in theater is playing the game of how long can I run the radio off the battery and not end up draining the battery completely. That has always been because I've ended up stuck at drive-in movies at least 2 or 3 times where I needed a jump start.
So, it's kind of a great idea and a horrible idea the way they do that now. It's most drive-ins have like the sound tuned into your car stereo, so it's you either sit there with your car running the entire time and use the gas, or you just kill your battery. It's like you would think there was a better way to do it. Now, I think with a lot of smartphones and things now, they have FM tuners inside them, but you have to have with my phone, you have to plug in headphones to act as an antenna. I don't know why, but somehow that creates an antenna. It's like, or now they have radio apps that you can tune into specific radio stations. Now, I don't know if a movie theater frequency would work along those same lines, but still. But yeah, you would think they'd come up with a better way to have that.
Right.
Because
at least it's not the old, having a speaker that you put into your car.
That sounded horrible.
Yeah.
Maybe they just need to start installing big, huge speakers on the outsides of these places. Whereas installing them outside, maybe giant sound bars outside where the cars park or something. Who knows?
Yeah. I will say that I have some really great memories of drive-in theaters.
Uh-huh.
I remember that when my wife and I were just dating, I had a truck, and I would put a mattress in the back and a bunch of blankets, and then I would park it backwards, getting in the back of the truck and on a comfy mattress, and you're warm and comfy. It was a nice way to experience the movie.
Yeah, try dragging a mattress in a movie theater.
Oh, I know. They give you all those looks.
Yeah. They would not like that. Well, yeah, this has been a fun show. We're a little over an hour. I don't know if it's a point where we could probably not cut it short, but we've kind of talked about everything we came to talk about and then some.
Yeah, I think that the last thing that I wanted to just mention is how much, how many likes and stuff that we've had on the page, right?
It's grown so much and so quickly. It looks like we have somebody watching right now. So hello, whoever you are.
Yeah. I think that maybe along with plugging Mark Guggenheim and his support for our podcast is to remind our viewers, just hey, if you like the material we're putting out there and you enjoy the discussions, like and share us and help spread the word.
Yeah, right now the page itself is at 108 likes and we have 117 follows on the page. So that's
great.
2-3 weeks ago, it was 38 people. And so it's really almost tripled in volume as far as the likes and everything. And looking at the increase, it shows you like the breakdown, people reached, post engagements, page likes. Page likes is up 7,800%. That gives you an idea of like how fast.
Just a little bit.
And then post engagements up 4,867%. Like,
right. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, and we'll find the more that we continue to put material out there, people are going to like it more. They're going to share it more, and our viewership is only going to go up. So,
and I did notice that so far, anyway, it seems like, because right now this is streaming live on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, and I wanted to do this for the next few shows. I kind of wanted to test it out like on a month-to-month kind of thing. Maybe some months have it, some months not. We'll always have this platform to sit and do the StreamYard, but the premium things, I wanted to at least try it for a month.
Right.
25 bucks a month. And StreamYard, this isn't a StreamYard commercial, but we're using them, so I might as well kind of like talk about it for a second. They have some cool little features. Like, I don't know if you can see it or not, but up in the corner, I have the actual show logo now instead of a StreamYard logo.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. And there's also like different branding. You can change your colors, like the nameplates there can change styles. You can put in little overlays, which this one I made. I don't know if it shows up, but like thin, like transparent blue bar and the logo in the top corner, the live at the bottom. You can create your own and just certain size picture, and as long as it fits in those parameters, you can put it on there and like, oh yay, there we go.
Yeah,
we got a lot of on and off. And I like the logo in the corner. You can change your brand color to whatever color you want. Let's go with red. Boom, there we go. It's really neat. You can change all that anytime. I've seen some people on StreamYard who are so advanced that their bar is like a news ticker, and it just like information goes and goes and goes. It's like, I don't know, that's too much, too in depth for me. But the videos, I think those are cool. The little clips. That's the thing I was excited about the most, being able to play clips. Now, when I first did a test video earlier, I didn't know. I thought you could just go and like copy a URL from YouTube and paste it and hit play or something. But as long as you have your stuff uploaded beforehand, you can just go. It's like ready. It's ready and waiting. And I've already got a couple of videos up now in preparation for the next couple of episodes that we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. So I have a Clerks clip ready to go for next week. One of my favorites. And I really kind of want to play it now, but I played it earlier, so I don't want to play the clip too much. And then the week after, on February 7th, and in that show, again, though, that's 11:30 p.m. Eastern, and everybody in the Pacific time, that's 8:30. So we had to push it a little bit, but everything's working out. I was freaking out, and you were like, yeah, we'll get through this. Like, how? This is insane. And it's kind of worked out.
Yeah. I'm the optimist in the group here. So
I try to be, but sometimes it's so stressful. And it's like, I think delaying this show gave me COVID. I think that's what gave it to me. Because I didn't have COVID before that happened, and after we had to delay it, I had COVID.
You're blaming the show.
Yeah, I'm blaming it. It's not good. But no, I don't like doing shows that late. But if everybody's on board, which they seem to be, it works out. It seems like you get more attention around the 8 o'clock hour. But maybe some people on a Sunday night are up at 11:30 or 8:30 on the West Coast, and they wanna. They want to watch some people talk about Clerks or whatever other thing that's coming up. Well, but that episode is exciting for me because
we've got a lot of viewers that are from the West Coast, right? And 8:30 is not too late for that over here. So,
and there's always going to be the replay too. I mean, people can go back on YouTube or Facebook later on and watch it again. But yeah, this Sunday, 1 week from today, we have Marilyn Gigliotti from Clerks, and I'm excited about that one. That's one of the ones I wanted from the beginning. Her and Scott Schiaffo were two of the names, and I'm trying to get Brian O'Halloran, who played Dante in Clerks. I would love to get him, and then have all three of them together, like Avengers style or something, and have like the three solo shows, and then have the one big reunion. as far as anybody else from those movies, I would love to get anybody and everybody. But I'm excited about that one. And then the week after that, on February 7th, same time, same channel, same place, all that. Lee Newton, who she's from here, from a town outside of where I live, but she grew up there, and I wasn't huge on country music more recently, but I was big on it when I was a kid because everybody listened to it, and I'm growing up in the South. You can't not like country music as a kid,
Right.
But she's pretty talented, and I know she's doing things now versus like when she's been at it forever, but she's really trying to kick it up and get things going for her music and stuff. And we're gonna play an entire song on here not next week, but the week after that. We're gonna play. I have it picked out, downloaded, ready to go. We're going to play that and then talk to her. And she's super excited. She went on her Facebook Live today to promote some of her music. And she mentioned the podcast on February 7th. So that was exciting. I'm like, yeah, she's heard it.
Yeah.
And people are, so she's got tons of people. Within like 2 minutes, she had 40, 50 people live on her stream watching. So if half of those people jump onto that episode, then it's going to be awesome. And I have something planned. Hopefully it works. There's a local, it's in the next state over. It's in South Carolina, but there's a local radio station who this is where the whole thing came about. And I'll go more into that story when she's on for that episode. But basically, She was on that show for a minute. It didn't go very well. And that's kind of how it came about. I was actually kind of against her. I was like, you know what? You're complaining. That was good. Blah, blah, blah. But we'll get more in depth of the story next week or 2 weeks from now. But yeah, I'm going to try. The point is, I'm going to try to get that promoted on that show, that morning show. And I know it's silly, like promote the podcast on a morning show. But hey, I mean, I thought, why not? I sent one of the guys on the show. I've been a fan of theirs for a long time, and I've met a bunch of them. It's like they're really cool dudes and everything. And I sent one of them a message that said, hey, you think it'd be cool to talk about this? He's like, yeah, you can try to call in. And they didn't want to promise that they could put me on there, but they said you could always try, depending on time and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully the Friday before, which will be the February 5th, that morning, I'm going to call in to that show. And I'm going to say, hey, listen to this podcast, watch this podcast live Sunday night, like, and have that on there. So maybe 20, 30 people might tune in from that, or 100. Who knows? Let's try to break 500 views on the one episode. Let's crash Facebook. Let's kill Facebook with this episode. But people are excited. People love her music, and she's actually really good.
Yeah.
I was gonna play a clip on here, but it's getting a little late into the show, so I don't want to keep going too far.
We'll have to save that one for next time. But just I friended her on Facebook. And I've been impressed with her just by she really is an entertainer. I really feel like she has really worked to create a good following, and so I'm looking forward to meeting with her, virtually. So it's be a lot of fun.
She's got an amazing voice. She has some good songs, great original stuff, which is what we're going to be playing next show. It's one of her original songs. I've kind of made a video where it's just it's like a slideshow of her, different pictures from her Facebook page, and with that song. And I showed it to her. I finished it. She actually sent me all the music, and I was like, I got to ask your permission. And she was like, yes, Lee, it's good. You can go ahead and do it. I just didn't want to get flagged by YouTube because it is a song. So I didn't want YouTube to go like, no, because if they do, I say, oh yeah, well, listen, I have permission.
Right. I mean, definitely having the person that wrote it on the podcast, we certainly have permission to air it. So.
And but I'm excited about all that. And then we'll see what happens from there. Hopefully I can get back on a normal schedule. Right now I haven't been working for like a week, but once I go back off quarantine and everything, hopefully I can get me on a more, I would love to be on like a morning shift or something, just at least on certain days so that I can have all this time. Because now that we're doing these like crazy shows, I want to get time to at least a couple hours beforehand to get all the information that I need, all the video I want to play, and put those on there. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
All right.
I'm excited to talk to Marilyn next week too. That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great.
All right. Well, I guess that could be the end of this show here.
All right.
So,
sounds good to me.
And I guess we will talk again. We'll probably chat a little bit before next week, but we'll see you on here again next week, I guess.
All right. Have a good night and a great week.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Bye.
See ya.